Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! This happened 4 or 5 years ago in a supermarket in my neighborhood. The entitled mother of the story did not have the typical Karen haircut or blonde hair, unfortunately. So I was in a line for the cashier and could easily see the entrance and most of the aisles from where I was standing. It was a small supermarket. This woman and her 5 or 6-year-old kid enters, grabs a basket and lets her kid go and roam the supermarket. The kid was running around the aisles looking at products and obviously giving the employees a hard time. I was still waiting in line when this kid started coughing, crying and eventually puking loudly in the aisle behind me. There was an employee kneeling near him, a yellow pack of M&M's chocolate-coated peanuts on the floor. His mom was rushing towards him, holding her basket. I observed that the kid's face was red, swollen, and sweaty. It was obvious that the kid was allergic to peanuts or chocolate.
What are you doing?
Ma'am,
you poisoned my son.
No, he came here and ate some candy. I heard him puking, so...
You sell poison candy.
At this point, the entitled mother was not even looking at her son, and the kid was just coughing and crying. The employees appeared to be more concerned for the boy than his mother. They gave him some water and asked him to cough out the candy. Surprisingly, no one was filming this on their phones, and since I knew most of the people there, I chose not to pull out my phone either. The employee tells her, "Ma'am, your son might be allergic to peanuts." He went ahead and ate one of the M&Ms.
I'm calling the cops for this.
She didn't even consider calling the manager for asking for a first aid kit or something. She called the cops. She then proceeded to grab the kid, take her basket, and to head out of the store without billing her items. By then, the manager had come out, and she stopped the entitled mother before she reached the exit and asked the entitled mother to wait for the cops. Karen freaked out and claimed that she was being harassed by the manager and that they should have known that her child might be allergic to peanuts, and started asking them why they stocked peanuts in the first place. The manager just stood there patiently until the cops arrived. The manager just wanted to hear what the entitled mother had to say to the cops, and eventually told the cops that the entitled mother had tried to shoplift. The manager's claims were more believable than the entitled mother's. The cops then asked the entitled mother to go to the station with him after she makes sure her son is fine. The kid was indeed doing okay. There was a fresh puddle of puke next to him, and the manager of course banned the entitled mother from the supermarket as well. Alright, a couple things before I start this story. This all happened a long time ago and as far as I know, have long since been settled. So years ago, I used to be a delivery guy for a sandwich place that rhymes with Timmy Tom's. The shop used to be located right next to a coffee shop drive-thru, so pulling out of the parking lot used to be an absolute nightmare. One way, while I was trying to pull out for a delivery, this woman gets into her car next to me. She starts her car and while I'm slowly pulling out at a snail's pace, she instantly pulls out behind me. I was still backing up, and because she pulled out so fast behind my already moving vehicle, I gently bump her car. This causes a slight bump and a scratch on her car no bigger than a dime. Now most people wouldn't even care and would just shrug it off or something. Not Karen, no. She goes crazy. She starts screaming at me, demanding I get her husband to calm her down. Her husband is apparently in the coffee shop, so I do. Kevin comes out, looks at the damage, and starts laying into me with his wife. I was young at the time, so I was pretty new to these sorts of things. And at that point, I hadn't realized that this was a car that was originally parked next to me. I had thought I had somehow accidentally backed into someone, and I hadn't realized that they pulled out behind me. I head into the shop and tell the manager what's going on. He tells me he knows and saw everything. I breathe a sigh of relief thinking this is all gonna be over and cleared up soon. Karen and Kevin call the police and the officer starts by letting us know he can't assign blame for the accident since it happened on private property. The officer asks Karen and Kevin what happened. Kevin tells him and the officer leaves. Yep, doesn't even talk to me and my manager. He just leaves. However, I have my manager fill out a statement to my insurance over the phone and hope for the best. Sadly, this didn't do anything to help the case. The entitled couple have calmed down and seem genuinely happy. They actually exchange pleasantries with me. They wish me well and they leave. My manager advises me that if their insurance calls me to tell their insurance person to only contact me through my insurance person, and I do exactly that. I get a call. I parrot what my manager says, give them the number and they hang up. And this is where the true horror story begins. Throughout the next month, Kevin starts to show up at my work almost every day, but only when I'm not around. He screams at my co-workers, managers, and tells anyone who would listen that I'm insurance dodging somehow. When I'm at work, he just glares at me through the windows, standing there watching me. After a while, this dude starts to follow me on deliveries. This goes on every single day for a whole month. We threaten to call the police, he threatens to sue, but he always leaves. I'm wondering where the hell this guy gets the time for this. And I learned from the next door coffee shop people that he practically lives there in their building. Turns out, Kevin's a cheap Mike cheapskate. He doesn't have internet at home and he needs it for his job. Kevin has his own company being some sort of graphic designer or something like that. Since the coffee shop has free Wi-Fi, he goes there every day, yells at them to turn the music down, buys one extra small cup of coffee, and leaves at closing time. This coffee shop peeps actually have a pencil mark on the dial so they can just turn it down when he walks in so they can avoid his daily temper tantrums. After weeks of this guy harassing me, my insurance calls me. They explain something to me and I tell them what's going on. And they tell me they will handle it. The insurance agent also asked me something strange, if I had seen Karen at all. I hadn't, but I was compelled to ask why. The insurance told me some were claiming that the accident had caused whiplash, that she was having PTSD from the accident, she was too hurt to walk, that she could barely move, she has stress from me trying to insurance dodge, and there was so much more. However, obviously they couldn't back any of this up since she hadn't gone to the doctors or anything. They had asked if I had seen Karen because they were having trouble getting a hold of her, since her husband was only speaking for her since she had all these injuries. So sadly, because of the nonsense police report, they had to rule in the Karen couple's favor. However, they weren't getting all that much from this, just a new coat of paint for their car. However, the insurance agent made Kevin put Karen on the line and made it very clear that if they didn't leave me alone, this would go to court. So thankfully, they finally left me alone. They also tried to sue the company I was working for since I had my car topper on, but that didn't go anywhere thankfully. Update: I just got news that Karen and Kevin had been arrested since it was discovered later that this was the 6th time that year that something like this had happened to them, and they were clearly doing this on purpose. Hope they get what they deserve this time. To get the story straight, I'm a 14 female and I was wearing a hat by my favorite YouTuber. I was a target with my male friends, I'll call him Jack, and his mom, looking for baby things cause her friend was pregnant. And this maybe 9-year-old kid asked me, "Oh, can I have your hat?" No thanks. But I like it. He starts stomping his feet. Jack tells him, "Kid." She said no. The kid gets pouty and runs back to his mom. We both think it's over until I feel a grab on my wrist and I get spun around by this 40-ish looking year old woman with a stereotypical Karen hairdo. Woman, what the heck?
Don't you use that language with my little angel.
Hey, leave her alone, Jack tells her.
She can only make up by giving my son her hat.
What? No! The entitled mother then rips my hat off of my head. My hair was set up in a way that I like when I wear my hat, and she ruined it. And I go crazy. What the hell is wrong with you, woman? You messed up my hair. Do you know how long it took me to set up my hair? I snatch it back from her, which makes the kid bawl his eyes out. The entitled mother then sees the error of her ways and she looks like she's gonna kill me. And that's when a male Target employee comes. "Ma'am, what is going on here?" And of course, Karen goes all victim on me.
This girl stole my son's hat.
I dropped my hat and was gonna say things, but I couldn't, and I stood in terror cause I suddenly didn't know what to do or say, or if they will believe me over her. Jack's mom finally comes. She was on the other side of the store and we went to get our own things. Jake's mom says, "Sweetie, what's wrong?" I suddenly get handcuffed. I was zoning out, and the guard gave my hat back to the woman as she had a smirk on her face. "Wait, officer, you have the wrong person," I scream.
Yeah, sure. You teens are always lying.
Jake tells him, "She's not lying, sir. I have proof." Jake actually takes out his phone with only soundproof. He later explained to me while we were driving to his house that when the mom came, he immediately started recording because he was scared something would happen. The officer uncuffed me and handcuffed the entitled mother, and she started screaming and screeching. I got no apology from the officer, but I was happy I saw Karen in the wild at least. Edit. I'm reading all of your comments, and to clarify, it was an officer that was in the store already, and I asked Jake what happened then. It turns out while I was zoning out and panicking, the cop was asking me stuff but I did not answer due to my panic. So he got the impression that I was being a brat and arrested me then. But everything is solved now and I got my hat back. I think I should start printing hats for my Crown crew as well, so they could come across Karens more often. Alright. My roommate and I had to head to Vancouver to buy a front passenger side fender panel off of a truck to replace a badly dented one on mine. We assumed the traffic would be really bad, so we left a bit earlier, and the plan was to meet the guy at 6 p.m. after he got off work. But we arrived about 40 minutes earlier than expected, so I sent him a message on OfferUp that we'd sit and wait. So we parked in a nice open spot across the street in front of a house with a fence. No big deal. There were other people there and they didn't seem to mind us at all. We were waiting about 30 minutes just sitting and watching YouTube videos. And during that time a woman parked her car in front of another house, a ways ahead of us. But we paid no attention to her. I was just sitting and watching Cyanide and Happiness on my phone when suddenly I noticed a woman creeping up to my truck. I say creeping because she'd walk a few feet and just stare. Then walk a few more feet doing the same thing. I tapped my roommate on the arm to signal to him she was there. The lady finally walked right up to our passenger window and asked why we were there. And she spoke with a somewhat condescending valley girl-like accent and used the word "like" a lot. She looked about 35 plus from what I could tell. The following is more or less paraphrased, but should be pretty close to how the conversation actually was.
Like, what are you doing here?
"Oh, we're just waiting on somebody."
Okay, because like, I was getting ready to call the cops on you because I thought you were like stalking me or something because you were sitting here for so long.
Roommate and I just give each other a look like we're saying, "Is this lady serious?" So I laughed and said, "Oh, believe me, I get it. Gotta make sure and look out for yourself." Then I pointed across the street and said, "You see that red truck over there? We're waiting for the guy that owns it to get home because I want to buy parts off of it. He's selling the truck in pieces on OfferUp." This woman gave me an awkward pose and said,
Okay, because like, I don't know you and this is like a really close-knit neighborhood. Plus your truck has Oregon plates on it. So I just wanted to make sure you weren't like scooping me out or anything. We have a neighborhood watch here.
Me laughs awkwardly, "Nope. We're just here to buy a fender panel off that truck, and that's pretty much it."
Like, okay.
She didn't say anything more after that and just walked away, and soon drove off in her car. Then a guy we were meeting got home and we told him about this woman. And when he heard her description, he said he wasn't even sure she actually lived in this neighborhood, because he'd never seen her. We were all confused but just got to work getting the fender off the truck and forgot about that. I'm a train driver in the UK. Weekday commuters in busy periods are fine. They know what they are doing and where they are going. Weekenders are another story. They rock up and have no idea where they are going, and acts indignant when we tell them the route they want to take is full of engineering work. However, the worst is summer holiday teenagers. It's school holidays at the moment here in the UK, so they are just pissing around for the fun of it. Last week, I had one teenage girl block a set of doors from closing. I did my usual PH spiel of, you might not have anywhere to go, but the other 100 or so people on board want to get home or to work. This usually gets the ones bothered the most to get up and see what's going on. Wasn't enough for this girl. I went back and asked her what the problem was. She remained silent and refused to look at anyone, but looked at me and said, "Get the police then." In the end, the police were called and we waited on the platform for 40 minutes for them to arrive and take her away. Last night, it was the second last stop before I was to take the train empty back to the depot and go home. After a 9-hour shift, I was done. I tried to close the doors and they wouldn't lock fully. Tried again a few times, since I was the door behind me. I go out of my cab and saw it was the same girl. "Oh, you were the same girl that held up my train for 40 minutes last week."
No, it wasn't me.
It was. Unknown to her, I had been told over the radio to expect delays into the terminus station, as they were dealing with an incident and police was there. I just said to her, "Listen, I know it was you. It is my last train of the night and I want to go home on time. So you can either shut up and sit down, I'll drag you out, or I can get the police to come deal with you." She obviously remembered the police coming the week before, so went and sat down. Unbeknownst to her, I used the 6-minute journey time between that station and terminus station to call the signaler and request police assistance on arrival. When I pulled in, there were 6 police officers waiting for us. I didn't open the doors and let the police in through my cab door and pointed her out. The fish mouth of her was priceless as I said, "You told me to call the police." And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.